Hello everybody. This is Kirosho here, and now, before we do get started, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of things happening. We had Izuku. We also had Ritus, the god of magic. Deku was one of four heroes chosen with a task. Ritus has fought a battle against a very powerful enemy, and he needed to take time to recover his power. He exhausted most of it. However, he made this threat more manageable. If the heroes he chooses cannot take this threat down, then it will spread to other worlds and possibly become unstoppable. If they don't stop it here and now, it will be bad. Deku, he was chosen to be one of his champions. And it's honestly something Izuku never would have expected. He's not going to be going to UA anymore. He will be given power and opportunity to be more than a hero. Be a champion. Walk shoulder to shoulder with the legends of another world. And that, Izuku, he took the opportunity to do. Yes, he leaped before he looked, but he'll be a better hero, possibly than he could have ever been at UA. And Izuku, he became a champion. He then met King Solomon and talked to him. He met Oliver, Rosa, and Pyra, his party members who have been helping him for the past week. They even decided to leave the castle to go on a quest. And with that being said, we do currently cut to Izuku. About 1 week later, while he is currently sword fighting with Oliver. And Oliver, he has begun to see Izuku grow further and further and begin to start improving more and more. They have been on a goblin slaying quest, and they've even tried to help Izuku understand more about his powers. They have him make simple potions and do things that allow him to understand magic. They want him to just be prepared. Always have health potions, stamina potions, magic potions, something to keep him fighting, something to keep him alive. They are being overly cautious, but they'd rather be overly than underly. And Deku, he currently is flying forwards, him bringing his sword over his head and striking down to his Oliver, him going to bring his sword up as the two to clash. And right now, he does going to throw his foot up, trying to kick Izuku. However, Izuku, he doesn't bring his own hand up. Right now, him going to throw it down and smack into his leg as he is a step backwards. Him going to do so as Oliver does going to throw his sword out towards Izuku. Him bring his hand up and going to block with his sword before going to turn. Throwing his hand out while Oliver, he does going to throw his head to the side. Him going to then turn and bring up his hand. Him going to punch Izuku while he does going to be sent flying backwards. Him sliding towards the ground while he does throw his sword down towards the ground. It stabbing into it as Deku, he does go to stand there. Him getting back to his feet and feeling winded, feeling more fatigued. However, Oliver does stand there, staring at Izuku, bringing his hand up and signaling him to come in for another attack. As Oliver does begin to at least begin to use his mana, and Deku does feel the mana pour off of him. He needs to be ready and prepared. If he's not, then Oliver is going to win, and he is going to lose, and that will be very bad. Currently, him getting on guard as Oliver does go to rush forwards. Him stepping on further fast, and Deku, he does throw his sword out. Him clashing with Oliver as Oliver does send Deku flying backwards with a gust of wind magic. Deku smashing into the ground and going to roll. Oliver then stepping off again and increasing his speed. Deku turning and grabbing his sword. Oliver striking his sword over his head as Deku does block the attack And Oliver, he does hear the mighty clash in the courtyard. Somebody, currently, watching on the battle. Him going to try and fight Oliver with his sword. However, Oliver, he is getting the advantage. And Izuku does begin to feel his thing cut into the gauntlet of his arm. It's scraping against the metal, and Deku, he does a stare at Oliver. Him expressing. Currently going to turn his sword flat and slide it to the right. Deku going to feel his sword loosen out of his hand as the weight does it a shift. Oliver turning his sword back and bringing it to Izuku's throat, expressing. And with that, he would have been slain. Right. Right. You're pretty good at this. Nonsense. I do believe I am mediocre. Right. Right. However, you are faring well. You said you are level 5? 6, actually. Some of those quests have been good. I've encountered some things, but it's still been a bit tricky. I see. Well, Izuku, I will say this. Your style doesn't need much improvement, but you are doing better than you were. To think, a week ago you were still swinging around a sword trying to kill a goblin. Yeah, I know. Nonsense, Izuku. Him bringing his hand up, putting it onto his shoulder, telling him. He's trained with the blade for years. In fact, he was actually still taking him seriously. Yes, 5 days ago, he was warming up. But today, it was more than that. He actually does feel a little winded. Though, if he does want to go down to the tavern, they can. Really? Yes, Izuku. Pariah did talk about a quest, and Rosa did say she wanted to find some magics for you to learn. Well, Rosa has been doing me some good. She's trying to teach me more about barrier magic. She's been a very good teacher to me. I know, I know. I'm just saying, you can't always train. Rosa put it best, and she hates that I like to use these words against her, but magic is like a muscle. If you're constantly putting pressure on it, then it's gonna hurt. Plus, like your actual muscles, you need to give it some time off. Maybe don't use it for a day. What do you say? I mean, we can go to the bar and I can probably get you a quest with a dwarf. What? I'm just saying, there are some quests out there that require you to at least help dwarves transport a lot of alcohol or metals. They deal with bandits. It would be a good experience for you. I'm sure if we do encounter bandits or monsters, we can take care of them. Both of us. Plus, fun little perk they don't list on the quest list. The perk of this job? Free booze. I don't know. I've never really had any alcohol. Really? Your world sounds weird. Oliver, gonna walk over. Him sitting down and bring his hand up. Him going to cast a spell that does mean his own conjure ice. Him having it float around him as he does begin to feel a lot colder. Him cooling down from the exercise they just performed. And Deku does get stare at this. He's intrigued. There's fire magic, ice magic, water magic. There's lightning, darkness, and many more. He's even heard of another magic. But it's weird. There are magics to augment your powers, augment strength, agility, speed. If you know an element well enough, then you master it. And when you master it, you become very powerful. Izuku's staying there, him looking down at his hand. thinking about mastering fire magic. Though, he did spec his points into another magic as well. Him going to bring his hand up and snap his fingers. Him going to feel a cold breeze while he's a sit down next to Oliver. Him feeling the wind move through his hair, and the two try to catch their breath before Pariah does come running up talking about a few things. Her going to bend down and stuff the paper in Nika's face. Talking about it. She found a quest that'd be pretty good. Besides, it's gonna be easy. It's D-list. Huh? Uh-huh. Wait, D-list? Yeah, Zuko. What's wrong? Nothing. I just... Isn't that dangerous? Oliver going to stand, expressing, stepping between Pariah and Izuku. That, they'll be right there to help him. He doesn't have to handle it alone. Besides, Izuku, he's definitely gonna have some trouble with these frogs. Frogs? They're good thinking about it. They can't be that strong. D-list quest for frogs. Deku having it go through his mind. He's picturing himself in a swamp. He's holding a sword. And frog. Something the size of his hand. A monster? And Pariah does see the weird look on Deku's face. As Oliver does try to tell her not to force the kid into taking on frogs. Especially since he's only a level 6. And Deku does ask a stupid question to them, asking what's so dangerous about these frogs. Huh? What do you mean? Yeah, what's dangerous about them? They're just frogs. Them staring at Deku. Before Oliver does ask Zuko, how big is a frog in his world? Deku holding up his hand, and the two stare at that. Before Oliver does tell Zuko, okay, now, picture a wild dog. Now make it about twice as big. Really? Yeah. Like that one dog the dwarf at the tavern owned. I I wasn't with you that day. Shit. Okay, listen. There's a might not even be worth bothering to tell you. Listen. Just know these things are big, they're freaky, and they might try to eat you. They're that big. Yeah. And Pariah wants you to fight them. Though I'd say if you do that, you better be using your sword or fire magic. Actually, thinking about this, you don't have many experiences with other weapons, so if we get you a spear, that could be a good one. Really? Yeah. I mean, they like to jump at their targets. So your sword will definitely be out after one of them, but how many is the quest saying, Pariah? It's saying about 5. 5? What do they need them for? Well, they have been disturbing some local farms. Also, there is the fact that they're close to a smaller town. They are fortified, but still growing. They've been bad. What do you mean? They ate someone's goat. Sounds bad. Him turning, and Deku does understand. Before, a maid does come running up, them expressing with a bow about how young Master Izuku needs to go see the king immediately. They have requested a conversation and word with him. Him going to start and jump up. Before talking about it, he can go now. but he does have to tell the king. He's kind of leaving for a quest. Her understanding, however, going to turn, expressing for him to follow her. Him going to follow as she says don't run off, not wasting time talking with Izuku. Him, well, Izuku, a little annoyed. However, their ears of the two do arrive in the throne room. Solomon sitting there with his wife, talking about it. Izuku has been doing quite a bit in these last 2 weeks, and he does want him to be aware. People are talking. People have said that he's been doing many things, and he was curious if the boy would be willing to help him out with the situation. He is willing to help him any way he can, and he already does have some more armor prepared for the boy to take. He's going to be getting a helmet, along with some better armor. It will be easier for him to travel in, and they are working on procuring him a better weapon. How does he feel about his current sword? Oh, it's good. Though it is certainly an interesting one. Glad to hear it. Izuku, a weapon is a swordsman's life. If it breaks, that life may very well end. It's a good lesson to know. Theodore, he is a man who will train you when he gets back from the front lines. He is currently facing off against members of the Demon Lord's army. Upon his return, he will become one of your teachers. Really? Yes. He is powerful. He was blessed by one of the gods. And speaking of that, the quest I would like you to undertake, for me personally, is there have been a horde of undead spotted nearby a village. Their defenses are worn. They believe that they may not survive another attack. I have already sent people out there. However, they're worried. They have requested backup. Right now, it's best that you go out there. I believe it could be a good experience for you. I believe Sir Oliver and Miss Rosa could handle it. With Miss Priya, I am aware that they should be able to do this. The man gonna stand, expressing. The boy grows through combat, and he does believe this will help him well. So, is he willing to accept this? Uh, yes. I'm willing to help out. If it means living up to this title, expectations, I will. They'll need more information. Yes. You'll need to go to the church. Tell them you'll be facing undead. And him gonna turn. Currently going to wave his hand as someone does come walking up. Them going to have something sitting on a pillow. The man grabbing it before turning to Izuku, handing it over to him, talking about it. He needs to hand this over to the bishop, or even the nun. They know what it is. There's a special seal they will see. Upon, they will give him their aid. Call it a way to have priority service. Really? Yes. They'll help you before anybody. However, do know, they will possibly have questions for you. And you may see some oddities that you may not have seen in your world. I do not know how it operates. Thank you. Deku taking this strange seal before he is at turn and leave. Currently him being given the gear and heading back out. Before he does see Oliver, Rosa, and Pyra, these three talking with him while heading to a carriage to go out of the city. However, they do need to stop at the church Solomon talked about. And Izuku does try to ask about this guy named Theodore, and Oliver does try to talk about it. He's seen Sir Theodore do many things. He's once witnessed him wrestle down a monster of A rank and kill it with his bare hands. It was a crazy experience to see. I mean, many people don't think what he can do is real. He's a master at conjuration. Plus, he's pretty just damn powerful. Really? Oh, yeah. Yes. Sir Theodore is someone who is intriguing. He is blessed by one of the gods. They go looking at Rosa. Before, they do a pull to a church, and he does a step out. Her talking about how she'll head in. Pyra and Oliver can stay here. This matter is a little bit more delicate, so please allow her. And the two do understand. Him and Rosa walking into the church, and Izuku does go look around. They headed up the steps, and they do currently see the lush greenery outside, the tall building, and the massive doors. Before walking in and seeing people, all of them had their head bowed, and they're praying. Deku's staring at this. However, he's at her looking at a man who does sit there on one knee and with his head against his sword. And his sword does sit there planted on the ground. Him, however, not looking away, looking straight down at his blade. And this is kind of intriguing. Deku hearing a small tune, turning his head, and seeing somebody silently strumming a guitar. Them letting out those little noises that fill the quiet church, echoing upon those hollowed halls. Him looking around, seeing somebody who does have one hand up to their head before they bring up their other hand and bring a bottle of wine directly to their lips, knocking back a drink before they look back down and go to swallow. Them making sure to bring their hand up to their lips. This surprising Izuku. And he doesn't see a woman. Her facing away right now, talking with somebody, bestowing a blessing upon them, and hoping that they will return. They go watching on, before she has a turn and looked at Deku. Deku staring at her white wings. And she just won't stand there, bring her hands up and stepping forwards, asking the two exactly what has brought them here today. The people behind her going to walk off. And Deku does try to ask, bringing out the seal from his pocket and holding it up, before expressing. King Solomon sent him here. He's, surprised though. Oh. Oh. You must be the hero, Izuku. I wouldn't call myself a hero just yet. I'm still trying to figure some stuff out. I see. Well then, I've heard of your quest, and I must say, it is a good thing that you are doing, helping those in need. Uh, I wouldn't really say that. Rose stepping forwards, expressing. They need holy water. They're facing the undead, and it may help them in the future. Along with that, they do need salt. Blessed by someone? Correct. Yes, I can do this. It will take me a few minutes. However, usually there would be payment. But given that you have that seal, I do only want to ask questions. That's not how you should work. Yes, I do understand. However, In order to perform your request, I need total and absolute focus. I will not have that unless I know a few questions are answered properly. One that has shaken faith, in fact. Izuku, is it true that Ritus is dead? Deku looking at her, and her eyes do tell Deku something. Her staring at Deku as if her very life depends on his words. And he doesn't stare at her. Uh, no, he's not. He's resting. I don't know how it works. Fascinating. Have you met any other of the deities? Rosa turning, watching the girl step forwards while her wings do go to expand, them going to the full mass or wingspan for her species. Her asking if he met Ulo or Nuva, or if he's even met Ina, the goddess of blood. Uh, no. What about Eris? Who? You've only met Ritus? Yes, I have. Those other names don't make sense. Oh, but from what I have heard, you possess fire. It was the first ability you showed. You were not favored by Ulo? Uh, no. I don't really believe I have the good blessing of any god. Oh, that is interesting. But you are a hero. Yes, I guess I am. Her wings going to somewhat settle down, folding back behind her as she does not bow, expressing, she'll be back in a minute. However, upon her return, she will need him to stay behind. She will cast a blessing upon him as well, one that will aid him in his travels. It will last several days. However, there are many more questions she would like to ask him. If possible, maybe they can pray and see what comes of it. Oh, uh, thank you. Her gonna turn and making her way off. And Rosa expresses, you know, her species is very weird about a lot of things. Are they? Yes, they are. They're very much in tuned with magic. Specifically, ones that are weird. Okay, but she's an angel. Hmm? She's of the angel clan, yes. I just don't understand. I'm actually seeing a freaking angel. I've met a demon and now an angel. Are you alright? Yes. I didn't know it was possible. You are freaking out over simple matters, Izuku. Simple? Him turning, and she just won't stare at him, as if she just said something stupid. Before, she just won't smile, talking about it. If he is freaking out this much over a simple member of the Angel Clan, then she does want to know what he would do if he did met one of the Dragonkin. Huh? Oh, someone who is descendant of dragons, the mighty beasts that live in this world. There are higher monsters, Zuko. Some are said to be powerful, though not every monster is mindless. Deku's staring at her, and that thought does make Deku somewhat think about what he's done already, about some of the creatures he has chopped down. The slime, the scorpions, some of the creatures in the forest, the goblins, and the others. Now, with that being said, The woman will get a return shortly, her with the holy water and the salts. Before she does, gotta bring her hands up and begin to pray. Her starting directly to Izuku before she's gonna turn. Her going to bring her hand up and grab directly onto Izuku's shoulders before running her hands down to the center of his chest, expressing. Her hands begin to glow, and Izuku does go hear a sound. Before he does, have the HUD in the bottom of his vision begin to somewhat flash. Him going to turn his eye before watching as he sees his stats pop up, along with seeing a blessing for holy magic. Him just staring at that. And the effect does say that it will last about 7 days and 8 hours. And he does turn before going to somewhat bow and thank the woman, her waving off the hero on his journey and wishing him with luck. Now, the four, they do to head out. The group currently on the way out to try and fight those frogs. They can turn them in at the next town. Hopefully, then, things can settle down a bit. The place they're going to be heading to that the king send them off to will be several days away, if not about possibly 2, if they travel fast. However, it may be at least 1. That divine blessing will last Izuku a few days, but they don't know what type of creatures will attack, or how long that town can really last. And the carriage, it currently is being pulled by 2 large horses, them both at currently full speed moving through the countryside. And Izuku, he does sit there. Their route is going to be simple. They're going to be taking a small detour. It will allow him to complete his quest. He'll get stronger. They've said it before. His strength is integral to his growth. The more he has, the better he'll be able to save those people. He might encounter something in town that he can't go against. This is a monster attack. And the troops that have already been there, if they can't fight it back, what hope does Izuku have? It does have him honestly a little scared. Him sitting there. However, he is trying to not have that fear creep in. He's trying to think. He has power. He has training. He has to fight. He's got experience. If he can make Oliver sweat, then he's got something already. The group going to currently find the area where the frogs are supposed to be. And however Izuku does see one currently sitting out in one of the meadows, he does stare at it. Since it's large. It's a fucking frog. The size of a small car? You've got to be shitting me. This currently took his mind. Him turning and pointing at it with Priya. And she does talk about it. Yup. That would be a large frog. You're kidding me. I have to kill that thing? I never said it was going to be easy, though I also didn't think it would be impossible. You gotta remember, these things use their tongues to attack. Primary mode, other than trying to squash you to death. Okay, so just look at it for whenever it lunges at me, or lunges in the air. Also, don't stay still. They usually tend to hit their prey if they stay still. Aim for the head, or if you do need it, I can lend you my bow, and you can take out its eyes. Right. Right. No, I can do this. Deku bring his hand up. Getting ready. Okay. So, what now? Oliver going to step forwards, bring his hand up and grabbing an item from the carriage, pulling it out, talking about it. Izuku should probably use a spear. Hmm? Really? Him holding up a spear that does have one sharp end with a metal knife. Him going to hand off to Izuku talking about it. It would be better experience. Plus, if that thing does come crashing down, or gets close to him, he can fall back on his sword. Though this does give him some proper distance. Also, think about it like this. He can chuck this thing as hard as he can at the monster, and it can land. If he can wound it, then he can take it out with the sword and finish it off. Or does he want to try magic for the first round? Uh, Magic, maybe. Better safe than sorry. Cheer up, kid. You'll level up. I'm sure you will. Deku nodding his head. Before he has to turn back to the monster and stare at it. Him grabbing the weapon before he does a step forwards. And everyone, they do to watch. Deku stepping forwards as the creature, it is about 40 feet away. And it does just somewhat stare to. No, he's pretty sure he can see its eye, so can it see him? Its eye directly darting to point at Izuku, before it does not fully turn and face him. And it does this one croak. Him bringing his left hand up and going to aim a fireball directly at it. Izuku going to cast a spell and send it flying at the frog. It going to leap up into the air before it does a shoot at its tongue. And Deku does stare at that. Before he has a turn and roll, the tongue smashing onto the ground before trying to retract back in. This thing going to come smashing down, and Izuku does get to feel the ground somewhat shake underneath him. Before he's to turn and rush forwards. The frog going to have Deku smash into it before he's to stab down into it with a spear. It's going to let out a sound before it does go to alert the others in the area as to what's happening. It letting out a small roar. And this does alarm Izuku. Right now it somewhat sounding more like a pig. Before he does go to drive the spear in deeper, and it is a leap up into the air. Izuku flying upwards as he has a hold on the spear, and he does go smashing down into the spear wherever the frog does hit the ground. It driving itself through the frog before Izuku he does land on the ground, having the wind knocked out of him. It going to be impaled onto the ground. And Deku does lay there for a second, wheezing out air, before he hears a sound, turning and looking up at the frog, before hearing his level up sound, and climbing back to his feet, still trying to recover. However, Deku, he is then grabbed by a tongue that's going to wrap around his legs before he is looked down. Him seeing that, I'm going to grab his sword, before he is pulled in, and Deku looks up, throwing his hands out and sending out a massive spell for fireball. Him going to fire two and have them fly through the air combining, before smashing the frog and killing it. Him still rolling forwards, we're going to turn, getting back to his feet, and then feeling a lot more confident, seeing that the spell can kill them. And this does inspire him. Right now, his aura beginning to build around him. And his group, they do to see this. Right now, Deku feels a lot better about this. He can properly fight. I'm going to turn, throwing his hand out and going to dodge an attack. Before he does, go send another fireball, smashing into a frog. It being sent flying backwards and hitting into the ground. I'm going to turn. Another frog going to throw out its tongue and lash out at Izuku. Him going to bring his hand up as the tongue does a wrap around it and try to pull him in. Deku fingers on buckle for him to bring his hand up and grab at his wrist. Him going to throw his left leg down and trying to hold himself back. The frog trying to pull Izuku in. And Deku does see this. Him smiling and finding out one thing. He's stronger than he thought. Before, he has to throw his sword up and slash directly into the frog's tongue, cutting it off and watching that. The frog going to let out another screech. Before he does, gonna run forwards, and throw his hand up, him blasting with another fireball before he has a turn seeing another frog. And the group, they do to watch Izuku begin to take out the monsters. However, there was a lot more than five in the area. And he's definitely stronger now. Them watching on. Before Deku, he does stand there. Him surrounded by the charred remains and somewhat burning corpses of some of these creatures. Before Priya, Rosa, and Oliver, they do try to collect the ones they can find that are remaining, at least in the best condition possible. And where they do see another one that does still have somewhat good condition to it, they do decide to take that one for travel purposes. Along with that, take these things into a butcher, skin them, sell the meat, the bones, you name it. These giant eyeballs can be used by a witch to make potions. Hey, you never know what you can get, especially for a pretty good deal. Don't want these things to go to waste. That being the most vital part of all of this. And right now, this is what they do. Them going to take these things into town as they continue their journey. Izuku currently trying to think about what to do. He got a little carried away there. Though all of them, they started to congratulate him. The quest only warranted for 5. However, taking out a lot more was good. And what they failed to tell Izuku was one thing. 2 people were supposed to take on that quest together for success. And when they do get to tell him this information, he feels a lot better about it. I mean, those things gave off a lot of XP. He's level 10. He can increase his strength more, his speed, and begin to improve his senses. I mean, he even has enough for another skill. He'll take on... what is it? Okay. If he increases his speed more, then that's good. He'll be faster with movement and a sword. Or he can try and increase his... No. Weapon proficiency, that's not good. I mean, he can try and advance that skill to weapon handling, but he has to find out how far that skill can be pushed. Or if he does advance it, it'll change, right? He might lose his perks with the sword. No. This skill only works with weapons he does handle, so anything he picks up. So, if he's right, if he does advance his skill, that means he'll be good with any weapon. Though, what about specializing in one? A spear is not a bad idea, but he needs more weapons. Not just a regular sword, too. The sword is cool, but this one's starting to chip. He might need to pick up a new one in town, especially if they're going to pass by. This one is mine. Before they enter the city and turn in that quest, Deku being given about 3 pieces of gold. And he also did sell off those pieces of the frog to the guild. Him pocketing the coin and moving on. Currently heading to a weapon shop and talking with a person who does sit there. Them trying to inform him about some of the deals they do have going on. However, if he does want something specially made or something for a high price modified to fit his needs, they can definitely do that. In fact, they do have a lovely set of armor that did come in. It is blessed with magic. And if he does need it to be done, he can tailor fit it in time for the arena. They can fight properly. He can go into combat well and win that tournament. Him staring at the person kind of confused. And they do express. Is he not in town for the tournament? Huh? No, I'm not. What tournament? My boy, it's a very big thing. People have come here before in months of advance to prepare. I know a young lad who once spent so much time out in those woods training. He became an adventurer. He would come by the shop regularly. In fact, he would often come in with blades chipped like yours. It does remind this stubborn old fool of a lot. Huh. So what do you need? Repairs? Oh, actually, I was hoping for something better than steel. Ah, I see. Silver? Uh, not really too sure. How much would it cost me? Well, my boy, if I may put it this way, silver will cost you some pretty penny. It will be about 1 gold for a silver sword. Really? That much? Young man, those things are meant to combat monsters, especially werewolves. They are not cheap. However, I could give you a wooden one if you would prefer. Though, those are to combat vampires. Uh-huh. Sorry, my lad. I will say this. You did come in here at a good time. I do have another weapon for sale, if you would like. Sure. The man gonna turn, walking over, and going to reach down before gonna grab up an axe, talking about it. Would the boy like to fight with an axe? He does carry many of them, and these ones are made from some better materials. They do have iron in them as well. In fact, he does believe that this one was dwarven forged. However, he will cut him a price. A dwarven forge? Yes, my lad. It does mean that they were made with some dwarven techniques. Well forged and made of good material. However, as for the craftsman, local. A dwarf of his craft, however more amateurish. Not a dwarven forge master. Oh, uh, how much will that cost me? Well, I do have one here. However, I'm going to turn, bringing up one that is larger and a little bit longer. One that would be more of a two-handed axe, instead of Deku trying to swing around a shorter one. Talking about it. He does have this one for about, let's say, 2 silver more. Would he like it? Hmm. Okay. Uh, not sure. You see, I've only ever really practiced with a sword. Ah. Well, it's not just that. I'm passing through town. I'm currently heading to a place that has had reports of monster outbreaks. You see, the king sent me out there to try and investigate. Help out as much as I can. People might be hurt. Is that correct, young man? Well then, if you know the king, you must have something very important. Did he give you anything? I've heard he has given knights something before. Deku confused. Before he does get to reach into his pocket. Him asking if he's talking about this thing. Him holding out the symbol that he was told to tell the priest about. And the man does this don't stare at that. Before looking up at Deku, asking him, exactly who is he exactly? He has talked with the king. And he's done what else? I'm just an adventurer, sir. Uh, my name is Izuku. Him holding out his hand, and the man can somewhat see. Not sure about how to handle weapons, only knows how to use a sword. A symbol from the king. An ambitious boy who is inexperienced, ill experienced. Hmm. Well then, I'm gonna turn. Before, gonna grab an axe and talk about it. Currently going to give it to Izuku, along with gonna turn, grabbing a silver sword and holding it up, talking about how the boy must take both these weapons. If he is to help out, then take them and do not return until he is done. What? But these are expensive. My lad, I will cut you a deal. 5 silver for both. In fact, I do have a good feeling about this, and I will trust my gut. Hmm? Oh, really? But the sword you said was expensive. Yes, I did. However, Venice be damned, I do have a good feeling about this. Thank you. I'm gonna turn. Him going to reach into his pocket and pull out some silver coins, putting them down on the counter. We're gonna turn and grab the handle to the axe. Him swing this thing over his shoulder and feeling the weight of it, along with holding up the silver sword, before walking out as the man does this one step over to the counter, counting the money Izuku left, and seeing this. A bit intrigued, the boy paid a little extra. Though, hmm, a young adventurer. Or is he? Not many people are allowed a private audience with the king, and rumor has it, the hero of the land may not be who people expect to see. Though many people do look towards the other champions. If that is the case, however, he does wonder what this young boy may turn into. Though he does hope this gamble was not a bad one. That sword is actually a little expensive. I'm gonna turn, currently thinking about the real price. And he doesn't continue his journey, them making their way through town and eventually stopping at an inn, before having to camp out and let the horses rest. They do get to fry up the food they gathered from the monsters. Them having giant frog legs currently for dinner. And this, it does seem rather strange to Izuku. Him standing here and holding something larger than a turkey leg in his hand. And he's being told this is a frog. It's definitely something. I mean, they cut off slices from one end and exposed the bone. Those slices they cooked and they might be using tomorrow. That all does depend, however. Though these things were coated in some strange sauce they prepared. And he does sit there, everyone gnawing on the legs they got from the frogs. And Deku, he does try to think about what to do. Someone gonna turn, asking if he's not gonna eat. No, it's just, this is weird to think about. Never had frog. Never even thought about it. Really? You know, in Elvish, frog isn't that bad. In fact, it is considered a strange meat to have. However, with its closeness to chicken, that is good. Really? Yes. Though most elven recipes, they do try to incorporate a lot of meat. It is essential. Is it? Yes. It's rather strange to say, but it is nice. I'm sure it would. Though if I bite into this thing and it tastes bad, I might try and go out of town. Go to the river and fish. You might not want to try that. Oh, really? Yeah, Izuku. Maybe not Fishing. If you don't like it, we can actually spend some money at a tavern. Anything but going out there. Okay. You guys seem worried about something. Then I'm gonna turn and look at each other. Before asking Izuku if he's been looking into some of the monsters they've told him about. Hmm? I've checked into some of the records, but not too many. Though most of them are not even native to the areas we live in. Yes, but it's vital. Listen, Izuku, you might encounter something out there that might not like you. If you are wrong, then you get a fish. Though if we're right, you might be killed. Oh. Yeah, there's a C-class monster right now out there. It's a spirit. A water spirit to be specific. Yes, and it does not like what's happening right now. This world is kind of weird. Spirits, gods, angels, demons. What's next? Him gonna bite into the food before Oliver does get a turn. Him going to look up towards the moon. It is full, and he does gonna talk about it. You know, there was once a story about there being two moons in the sky. Hmm? Really? Yeah. You know, they do talk about the moon goddess Nuva. She's powerful, well trained. However, they also do talk about a sad story of her origin, one that's been told a lot. It was said that her and her brother got into an argument. No one knows too much about it, but things ended in combat. She had to kill him, and she became the only one to graze the night sky. Really? Yeah. The story goes that her tears ran the waters of humanity. Every drop is once that she's cried. Some know her as the crying goddess Izuku. Though, how much of that story is real is not too well told. That's not the proper story, Oliver. Yeah, then what is? Because as far as I'm aware, the Elvish one's not too different. It's not. Nuva, she was a powerful god. She was the god of ice. She sat in the sky with her twin sister, not her brother. And the two, they provided light. They protected humans. They showed us what creatures lie in the dark, and made us aware not to go further into it. When humans were given fire by Ulo, that helped them more. They can drive back the creatures of the night. Nuva, however, had to step in. Her sister became corrupted. She was afflicted by a curse. She became a monster, and then she had to die. That's how the story goes. But no one's sure which one's true. Are you going to tell me the demi-human tale next? I don't know too much about it. I'm telling you what I know. Though we probably should get to bed and wake up early. Maybe. We are in town, and there is a tavern just down the block. We're not spending money. Though, that being said, probably gonna turn. Talking about how they probably should save money then for their adventure. She is willing to share a room. Deku staring at her. Before she does, I gave him a slight little wink. And Deku immediately does so much suck in the food in his mouth down his throat. him going somewhat cough and turning, before Oliver does talk about it. Priya going to somewhat start laughing a bit, before there's Rosa, who does somewhat smack her on the arm, talking about how she really should stop. What? I'm just teasing him. No, you weren't. We both know that. Come on. Wouldn't be too bad. Besides, if I'm right, her gonna turn. Talking about how he was intrigued to learn a bit more about Elvish, right? You know, elven magic. Uh, I was, but not really, Oh, come on, Izuku. Don't be too nervous. Though, I can tell you a bit more about what I do now. Maybe tomorrow. We do have a long course ahead of us, and it could give me a chance to, write a few things down. Currently, Rosa gonna turn, grabbing Preya's arm and dragging her out of the area. So the two, they should probably chat. Now, Deku and Oliver, they do continue to eat. Though Izuku, he does definitely seem a little more on edge because of that. Oliver giving Izuku a little bit of shit to try and help calm his nerves. And the two would head into the inn later that night to try and get some proper sleep. Though Izuku, he does lay there with a mind full of questions. Magic is versatile. Creation, destruction, gods and deities, spirits, monsters. In the last 2 weeks, his life is weird. It's nice. He must be crazy if he thinks this is nice. He doesn't feel like himself. He'll have power in his next life. Take a swan dive off the roof. Those were his words. Those were the words of Bakugo Katsuki. Though he's doubtful that he'll ever see him again. What would he say, though? He has power. He has allies. Friends? Well, he wouldn't say friends. They're all being paid to teach him stuff. Yeah, yeah. There's allies. Though, maybe tomorrow, when they do come back, or maybe the night after, whenever they head into that town and help defend it, maybe then they should go to a tavern. At least buy them a few drinks as a thank you for all that they've done for him. This on his mind. Him going to somewhat turn and roll over, looking out the window and currently seeing the moon. It shining brightly through the night sky. Izuku currently going to fall asleep, with a mind full of questions, and some of them not being answered. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.